Okay guys, just so you aren't left in the dark for a few days, we've decided to start doing the Fraternacons episodes on Saturdays. That's why there was no video out earlier this week on the Fraternacons channel. This Saturday, or tomorrow at this point if you're seeing this for the first time, it should be up there at the typical 5 a.m. Pacific Standard slot. Once again, the previous episode got claimed and blocked in like 70% of all countries. We are going to try some more things to keep that from happening again with this next one, so hopefully that won't be too distracting. And again, the viewership on the videos is proving quite low. It's not a problem, but if you aren't receiving the notifications about the new Fraternacons videos and you do want to see them, then just remember to check the Fraternacons channel on Saturdays for the new videos. So it took me a long time to find this guy, right? I have been trying, with assistance from Toolnin, again, thank you man, for months to find this little guy, and I just couldn't do it until like a week ago, when I went to Walmart to get some rubber cleaning gloves, and I saw this guy on an absolutely loaded shelf with just about everything I've been looking for. You have no idea how freeing it's been to not wake up every day feeling like I should drive to every store within 50 miles to see if I couldn't find all this crap. I just get to be done with the hunt for a while. It's really nice. If you remember my video on the upcoming Kingdom Wave 2, I was very excited about this little guy. So now that I have him, how's he gonna hold up? Let's find out. It's Kingdom Huffer. Well, in the looks department, he is coming across very strong, and I mean that kind of literally. He looks very swole. In fact, he looks very little like he's supposed to. Huffer had one of the dweebiest designs in all of the Transformers, and this looks almost nothing like that. And that seems to be for a very interesting reason. I can't remember where I heard this, but wherever it was did post substantiated evidence. Apparently, this Huffer is actually based on the design schematics of a minifigure that was originally supposed to be packaged as a pack-in accessory with the MP10 Optimus Prime. You can see in this concept art I found that dates back to 2011 that yes, this does bear a much more striking resemblance to that than it does the show version of Huffer. It's uncanny to the point where it even has the leg details on the insides of the backs of the shins. Honestly, this is the one time where I'm really happy to not be getting show accuracy. While yes, he doesn't look like the show model, that's because he's way cooler than the show model. And the new design does still fit with the aesthetic of the old show, and more importantly, the other figures in this line. This guy is real small for a deluxe though, but you will be happy to hear that he is nowhere near as small as Cliffjumper. And hell, he even handles his parts forming way better to the point where it's almost not fair to call it parts forming. He also does get a way more substantial shield out of it. This doesn't just look like a piece of the car he's holding, it looks like a real shield. Meanwhile, Cliffjumper here is trying to block bullets with one of his own body parts. This is why this sucks. Well, this is another reason why this sucks. This is like trying to use a severed human torso to stop bullets. And before you say that it's different because this is made of metal, so are their bodies. Blasters shoot right through those, and this is just a part that came off of him anyways. I'm inclined to give Huffer here more leeway than Cliffjumper because, while he is small like a minibot should be, he does not come across like a Legends figure with 2 extra sets of joints that they are charging twice the price for. Also, his shield does look like a purpose-built defensive tool that would actually provide some protection. Honestly, I feel like this is the size Rat Trap should have been at. It scales much better to Dinobot and Optimus. But on looks, I'm loving what I'm seeing, and on scale, I'm happy to see him actually be where he should be, unlike Cliffjumper. It really does put into perspective how much more of a ripoff that was. One thing that's a bit of a bummer is the fact that he's got a Ninja Turtles thing going on with his feet. The way they're designed wouldn't necessarily lend themselves to that, but the fact that they colored the heel pieces that hinge in from the toes gray really exacerbates their hoof-like qualities. If they were orange, I think this would have been much less eye-catching. And the last real issue with the overall look is the bucket on the back. It's on a weird hinge that lets you go monstrously high with it, which is for some godforsaken reason the intended position. Or you can hinge it all the way down, which looks way better, but gets in the way of posability. The best compromise is to pull it half the way up. That stops it from restricting his posing, or being a giant stupid umbrella over his head, but it does mean that it sticks a good distance off of his back. Much like the body, the head sculpt is recognizable as a whiny little bastard, but very much distinct from how he normally looks. The show had him looking a bit like he was wearing an executioner's towel. This more looks a bit like a purple version of Daredevil's mask without the horns, or maybe Buzz Lightyear. He's got a serious case of hero jaw, which doesn't exactly fit the wuss, but considering those pythons he's now rocking, maybe this is a more action-oriented version of him. That, however, is horribly undercut by his creepy little beady rat eyes. It's hard to describe how evil and heartless these eyes look to me, so basically completely perfect for Huffer's unbearable ass. I think the fact that he doesn't have an open space around his eyes is what's making them look so sinister. But yeah, good head sculpt, if not accurate. The accessories he comes with are his shield, which we already talked about, but it does bring up the point that I think a huge amount of where the budget for this guy went is the paint. The shield is orange plastic, painted gray and silver. The gun is orange plastic, painted gray. His arms are black plastic, painted silver. The grille of the truck is fully painted. His chest is fully painted. His junk is fully painted. That's a lot of paint for stuff it seems like they should have just cast in different color plastics. Wouldn't that have been way cheaper? Am I the only one who thinks his gun looks like the Spartan laser? Okay, time to get a whole lot less positive. Posability. Posability is very substandard on this guy. Nothing special about the head, backpack is on a hinge, shoulders get just shy of all the way out, and you can't even trick it into a slightly higher pose because of the way they work. Elbows don't even pull a 90. 90 is already not good enough, and this isn't even achieving that terrible standard. We are already getting a very small figure here for deluxe prices. If they had to include a second joint to get a better elbow, then they have no excuse not to. Hell, they didn't even do what they could have done within the limits of what was possible without including an extra joint. This bit of geometry right here is what is stopping it from bending 90. They should have flanned out that piece to at least get that much. He has no wrist swivels due to the transformation, and it's just getting shocking what this guy is lacking. He's got an inwards wrist bend, which is useful for some things, but not a whole lot. He does have a weird ab crunch that is kind of cool if you're okay with him leaving his entire spine behind, and without the ability to look up, it is of very limited use. Knees pull way more than a 90, but they're also hinged in a weird place, so it looks really awkward. I've seen other people show off that this guy has amazing ankle tilts, but that seems to be a QC thing, because mine only go this far, and based on the way they feel, I can tell you, they will break before they bend anymore. His heels are very substantial for such a small guy, and they do make him plenty stable, so at least he has that going for him. And for me, nothing feels loose. But yeah, I just talked about almost every joint on this guy, which I normally wouldn't do because he is just so limited. Even Cliffjumper had more posability than this does. Don't you dare look happy, you still suck! Transformation on this guy is baby town simple. The head doesn't really hide away, and the arms barely transform, and then you're left with this at the end. The best thing I can say about this is it's not really a parts former. Let me explain. Were I to lose the shield and the gun, the alt mode would not be incomplete without them. It would just be different. So I can stick this on or leave it off, and while the aesthetic does change, it is not unfinished either way. The fists just chilling out on the back is a bad thing. Also, the fact that you can just go is a bad thing. And then the last bad thing is that this doesn't feel finished. It just doesn't look finished at all. It looks wrong. We have a really small figure here, and it just feels so lazy that they couldn't be bothered to finish it. Like, if the head hinged backwards, it could fill this gap, and the cab could have done something, anything, to meet up with the tires more. But they just didn't do it, and the bottom hangs down so awkwardly far. Also, you can add the shield and the gun to the sides to give it more of a traditional truck bed, and that looked way better in the product shots than it does in real life. Why does the sidewalls have this spiral surface pattern to them? The sidewalls almost kind of circle back around to being parts forming, because you need the shield to make them work. If you lose the shield, then the gun just doesn't attach like this anymore. I don't understand why they didn't just give this a half peg slot right here for these to attach to. This is a hard figure to recommend, guys. On the one hand, it's a really good looking thing in robot mode, but on the other, it's really taking the piss in most other aspects. The articulation is a joke by modern standards, the transformation is uncreative and unfulfilling, and the alt mode is completely slapdash. By far, this is the thing I feel most cheated by in Kingdom. With every other figure in this line so far, I feel like they really wanted to give me value for my dollar, even when they failed. This time, it feels like they didn't really care whether or not they did. They used an old design they had lying around, and they didn't bother finishing it. It has the weakest posability of any figure in Kingdom. It feels like the design team just said fuck it. The only thing that it seems like someone along the way gave a crap about is the paint. Someone down the chain at some point saw that this wasn't giving out the value in most other ways and decided that they could take steps to remedy that by upping the amount of paint the thing was getting. This is still better than Cliffjumper because I don't feel greed wafting off this thing. I just feel apathy. They didn't care. Is this worth the Lux price? Maybe? I don't see this ever being someone's favorite figure, but I don't think it's worthy of hate. Just mild disappointment. Maybe go in with lowered expectations and you might be happy. And that's not half of what I have to say, but it's enough of what I have to say. And I know you know what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you'll enjoy listening to me waste your time.